How come these murdering wannabe influencers think it's okay to reach out to Kim Kardashian? First, we have Gypsy Rose and the Amelia Bird situation, and now Kenzie Shirilla. I wrote the script for this video while I was watching The Crash. Whether you've seen the new Netflix documentary or not, this video will tell you everything you need to know. Strongsville, Ohio. I'm glad that Kenzie and her in-person interviews were not the entire focal point of the doc, but some things were left out. Kenzie had just graduated, Davion too. Kenzie was 17. Rosie Graham, claiming to be one of Kenzie's bestest friends, had a lot of camera time in the documentary. A friend who Kenzie sold rugs to, even on the night of the accident. Tree, and probably other rugs too. Both Dominic and Davion pronounced dead on scene, as officers saying, "Rest in peace, buddy." Dom was 20 and Davion only 19. Tree and shrooms found in the vehicle. The tree was a small amount and 8 grams of the shrooms, but also a scale, meaning transactions were happening. There was wax and a pen and some cash. At the hospital, when Kenzie's parents found out the boys didn't survive, their reaction annoyed me. Kenzie's parents are flippant and almost tone deaf. The dad said more than the mom, Natalie. Dom's father, Frank Russo, and his older sister, Christine, did a great job giving Dom a voice. At first, a lot of people close to the crash thought that rugs were involved because of the aspects of the crash. No skid marks from breaking and head on into a brick and mortar wall. Now, Davion is the one that I found most relatable to myself. Him and his siblings came from the foster care system, and they were adopted by Scott Flanagan and his wife. Scott's wife's name is Jamie Flanagan, and Davion was born on March 11th, making him a Pisces. The same as myself, I'm a Pisces, but I have a strong sun influence, and Davion has a strong moon influence, meaning he's more of a keep to himself behind the scenes type, and I'm more of an in your face type. Having a strong moon influence also means heightened intuition, that gut feeling that you get. Davion would probably get that a lot. And it may explain why he told Bubba, "I love you," before he left that night. You see, Davion wasn't meant to leave with Mackenzie and Dom that night, but fate had other plans. Strongsville police brings in a prosecutor from Cleveland to investigate the crash. He starts with items found in the car, the money, and the rugs. Makes it a point to say that Davion was on top of Dominic from the impact, and Kenzie folded over in the driver's seat. Davion was riding in the back seat with no seatbelt on. Dominic wasn't wearing a seatbelt either, but Mackenzie was. There was a mountain of digital evidence from Kenzie's phone, which is why digital evidence is my favorite type of evidence. It even showed that Kenzie had a keychain that said, "Don't do stupid shit. Heart, Mom." Just another one of life's little ways of mocking the irony. Or is it evil's irony? Kenzie's other friend, not Rosie, called her loyal and a protector from bullies. Kenzie had suffered from her decisions as well. Broken femur above the knee from the folding, from the impact, I'm sure, accompanied by 3 broken ribs, lacerated liver and kidney, and when her arm broke, it detached from the tricep. And when Kenzie's neck snapped, it caused damage to both carotid arteries. Kenzie's parents wouldn't allow questioning without an attorney right from the beginning, but did give Kenzie's password to her phone, and that's how they got all that digital evidence. You see, Kenzie's parents actually let her move in with Dominic after graduation when she was only 17. Dom was always giving her designer and catering to Kenzie's every whim. As Mackenzie was in that hospital bed, she found out that her so-called love of her life didn't make it, and neither did Davion. If only Davion had went home with Bubba as planned from the get-together the night before the accident. Well, accident or intentional. Conveniently, Kenzie didn't remember the most crucial parts of that morning. She even carried on agreeing to brand deals when most people would log off. But yes, becoming an influencer is more important than anything else, right? I prefer not to be under a microscope when going through something. Not everything belongs on the internet. Now, with Kenzie conveniently not remembering the most crucial parts of that morning, friends of Davion go to the police. Davion was connected via Life 360, and Davion was using his phone 1 minute before impact. Those friends also thought maybe the shrooms were to blame, but Kenzie tested negative for shrooms, and this did not happen from THC. No way, Jose. Plus, Kenzie was a regular user of Tree, and even Rosie Graham corroborated the story that they were going to trip, but it became too late, and Kenzie was also too sick to trip that night. You see, with Davion, football was his passion until he was injured and started hanging out with a different crowd. I think Davion's injury was a big blow for him, and being at the age of questioning everything, maybe he had more on his mind than we know. Being adopted affects you in profound ways, and friends and substances help numb the pain. Scott Flanagan is adamant that if Davion heeded his words, he would not have been in that car. The what ifs will drive you insane. It was time to focus on the why. Kenzie's friend Rosie, who was at the gathering the night before, refused to talk to police, yet she cooperates with Netflix. I sense Rosie was lying about something, or maybe she was just nervous. It sounds like a lot of pressure being Kenzie's friend. I wonder if Rosie is who I heard Kenzie speak to in her calls from jail. Allegedly, Kenzie didn't even smoke that night and was sick, like I said earlier. Did Dom try to break up with Kenzie in that car at 5:30 a.m.? Eventually, the police obtained the video evidence, and it's unreal to watch when you know what's coming. Kenzie makes a controlled right turn just moments before the car starts to accelerate to 100 miles an hour. The car zooms by the second camera and the third before hitting the sign and then the brick wall. The toxicology report on 10/5/2022 removes the possibility of impaired driving. Rumors of Kenzie having an aggressive past ensued throughout the school, including teachers. Kenzie would get in trouble and her parents would offer excuses for her with no repercussions. I've listened to several hours of jail calls between Kenzie and her mother, Natalie, and Natalie is an enabler. Even on the documentary, she said that Kenzie didn't need to be disciplined. When you listen to somebody having hours and hours of conversation, you get to know them pretty well. They can't fake it the entire time, and those cracks start to show, the real personality peeking through. Both of Mackenzie's parents enabled her, especially Natalie, as a lot of parents do. The auto forensic investigation showed that everything within the car was working properly with no malfunctionings at all. The event data recorder, or black box, holds 5 seconds of pre-crash data. I want you to slowly count to 5. 5 seconds is longer than you think. The gas pedal was to the floor for at least 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No taking off the accelerator and no braking. The brakes were in an off position. The EDR was also able to record some left movement of the steering wheel and then to the right. Why was Kenzie the only one wearing her seatbelt? Did she put it on the moment she got behind the wheel? The EDR also showed that the car was shifting from drive into neutral and back into drive. Was this Kenzie being reckless and playing behind the wheel? Or Dominic Russo trying to save their lives? We may never know. Do not let this documentary fool you. Kenzie and Dom's relationship was toxic. It's rumored that Dom wanted to break up with her for a while. If you have ever found yourself in a toxic relationship, then you know what it's like. You fight, break up, make up, and get back together, and the cycle continues. The cycle of a toxic relationship only ends when one party cuts off contact or something like this happens. There is a lot of digital evidence that proves this toxicity, and Netflix chose to leave this part out. During the trial, the prosecution pointed out that Kenzie was using her newfound empathy from the crash to further her dreams of becoming a big influencer. Kenzie, are you achieving that now via Netflix? I wonder if Kenzie's mom is still running her social medias while she's in the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville, Ohio. While Kenzie was seeking opportunity and attending concerts, the police were investigating her every move. Everyone processes grief differently, but normal individuals don't grieve like Kenzie did. In November of 2022, Kenzie was arrested for aggravated murder. She was on her way to physical therapy and wasn't exactly cooperative. After being arrested for aggravated murder times two, the media wildfire ensues. Everyone hoped this was an accident, but people were celebrating her arrest. A single tear streams down Kenzie's face as she is in the back of the police cruiser, bracelet still intact. Kenzie was set to start trial in 2023 as an adult. During trial, a medical condition was presented as a defense, a condition that could have caused Kenzie to have dizzy spells and referred to as POTS. Salt pills were the treatment prescribed. Funny thing is, women who were locked up with Kenzie said she never went to medical or med call, meaning it's highly unlikely this tragedy occurred from POTS. Mackenzie opted for a trial by judge and not a jury. Maybe she would have had better luck with a jury since she was found guilty on all 12 charges. The undeniable proof was the toxicology report and the black box in the car. Kenzie sits for her prison interview in her prison uniform, heart necklace exposed. Who gave her the mascara, I ask myself. Kenzie claims her motive for going on the documentary is because she never told her side of the story. This statement immediately piques my interest. I then pause the interview and brace myself for impact. Kenzie wants to say her truth because she says she's not a monster, with hesitation. Then she gives a look that says, if you believe I'm a monster, you're a dumb bitch. Kenzie is adamant about the what ifs and that her and Dom would have been married by now, with a physical response of her right shoulder shrugging. She describes Dom as protective and loving over her. Kenzie says, I wanted to heal him and he wanted to heal me. Bold statement full of irony with all that happened that early summer morning on July 31st when it was still dark outside. Then Kenzie proceeds to talk about the toxic cycle I've already mentioned before even seeing this part. Argue, break up, get back together. Saying it was rocky, but it was good, except this time it's her left shoulder that has a physical response. We were in love. Young love, she says, while checking to see if her story was landing with the Netflix interviewer. Kenzie says she never felt rage during those arguments with Dom, but only sadness because Dom didn't have good communication skills. Kenzie even distanced herself from the other victim, Davion, by saying he was more of Dom's friend, saying they grew closer when Davion began staying with her and Dom for 2 weeks, calling him a good person. Now, the big question is asked, what do you remember from that morning on July 31st? Kenzie says she remembers turning on the street and then remembers waking up in the hospital. Pretty anticlimactic, if you ask me. Kenzie rolls her eyes and shakes her head, saying something to the effect of, I'm not going to lie to please the people because they want to hear a story, and has no recollection of that morning, while describing herself as the driver of a tragedy and not a murderer. She almost tears up when saying, I'm not saying I'm innocent. My, Mackenzie, are you preparing for that parole hearing already? I thought I saw a sliver of coerced accountability. It cuts to the trial and family members seeing the video of the Toyota Camry for the first time. I can't imagine how that feels, and I hope I never have to. Kenzie's friends think that she ate organic meats, meaning she didn't want to harm herself. but I smell narcissism. You see, narcissistic types focus heavily on their looks to serve as a primary tool for control, validation, and managing their social image. You cannot deny that Kenzie cares about that sort of thing, hence the prison mascara. I would like to point out Kenzie was born on August 2nd, a Leo. Maybe I should do a birthday reading on her. Comment your sign if you're interested. Kenzie says the most logical explanation in the crash is medical emergency, saying her blackouts come out of nowhere. Natalie was there at the trial to corroborate this story with the POTS diagnoses. The defense failed to provide an opinion from any medical expert, which was a major fumble on their part. Is there a reason for that? In my opinion, the thing that sealed the deal during the trial was the secret recordings that were presented to the court by Dom's mom, Christine Russo. These videos taken days before the crash by Dominic himself that his mom found in his place. In these videos, Kenzie was locked out of the house. Kenzie calls Dom a little effing bitch while he tries to defuse the situation. Dom says, I can't let you in my house with how you're acting. And she persists in telling him to let her in now. Kenzie proceeds to break her way into the home. The court was seeing what Mackenzie was capable of for the very first time. To her, in that moment, Dom was nothing more than a little bitch. Poor Davion minimized to collateral damage by Kenzie Shirilla. Kenzie says her social media isn't really her, and it's how influencers want the world to see them. While the prosecution continues to push that her social media portrays a direct lack of remorse. Rosie goes on to defend it all and minimize it under the guise of just a TikTok trend. Well, that sounds awfully familiar. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I love that the documentary showed Mackenzie's mom, Natalie, bomb the sentencing statement she made for Mackenzie. The judge even called her out for not mentioning the victims, Dominic and Davion. The judge says, there is a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. After passing out her punishment worse than a rainy parade day, Kenzie is taken away in shackles. Kenzie says it's really hard in there being prison, that she tries to wake up and be the best person she can be and try to stay out of trouble. Kenzie says she thinks about them every moment of every day, and it's a pain in her chest that she refers to as a void. The interviewer asks if she has any last words, and Kenzie turns to her attorney for feedback. That's right, Kenzie has had an attorney present for the full length of this interview. Final words for Kenzie. I don't want to force anything or say too much and sound crazy while nervously stroking her right arm. There was no intent whatsoever there. I have excessive amounts of remorse for Dominic, Davion, and both of their families. This was not intentional, and I will do everything I can to prove to the world and the families while shaking her head yes and twiddling her thumbs. Kenzie swallows, which you can hear, and says, that's it. The families don't believe Kenzie doesn't remember. Kenzie's parents gone on to say that they will continue to fight for her and proceeds to show damning messages about Dominic, the victim. They believe by showing a few text messages will prove Kenzie's innocence. The text messages are coming from Kenzie, accusing Dom of threatening to crash the car. Natalie also uses this opportunity to promote the free Mackenzie groups that I cannot stand. That was a very selfish move, Natalie. After the documentary aired, Steve Shirilla, Mackenzie's father, who is also an art and digital media teacher, was placed on leave. This administrative leave was placed by a Cleveland Catholic school called Mary Queen of Peace, solely because of the comments Steve made in the documentary. The school called his acts to be poor judgment and even put out a statement. And I quote, Dear Mary, Queen of Peace, parents, family, and guardians, we are investigating allegations made on social media that one of our teachers have demonstrated poor judgment. Upon learning of the allegation, the school acted immediately and placed the teacher on administrative leave. The investigation is ongoing. We want every parent and family to know that the safety, well-being, and trust of the students remain among our highest priorities. We take all student concerns seriously and are committed to responding promptly and responsibly wherever concerns are brought forward. While we are limited in what we can share during an active personnel investigation, please know that we are reviewing the matter and will provide additional communication as appropriate. We appreciate your continued support of Mary Queen of Peace School community. End quote. Now, Steve, pictured above, has confirmed this leave of absence and is upset with how the documentary was edited and still believes his daughter is innocent. When all eyes are on you, the blowback can be catastrophic. Now, if you are interested in true crime and psychopaths, please follow or subscribe. Otherwise, I will disappear into the algorithm, never to be seen or heard from again. At least with this case, we don't have to worry about appeals. You see, Kenzie was found guilty on August 14th, 2023, and sentenced on August 21st, 2023. The appeal was filed on October 21st, 2024, and argued there was not enough evidence to prove that Kenzie meant to KILL Dominic and Davion. Then in March of this year, 2026, her appeal was rejected because it was filed one day too late. So Kenzie and her attorneys appealed this rejection on the basis of it being a leap year, 2024. The court swiftly stuck to their decision with no change in an appeal being granted, meaning that Kenzie Shirilla will have to serve at least 15 years. It's possible for her to be granted parole when she is 34 years old in the year 2038. But it's also possible she spends the rest of her life in prison. So for all you free Kenzie supporters, you are going to be waiting a while. All in all, Kenzie still hasn't taken accountability or spoken about the accident and sticks to her memory loss narrative. The scholarship that was created in Davion's name was a nice way to honor him, and Dominic's family started a podcast here on YouTube. Do you believe that Kenzie should be free? Comment your thoughts below. May peace be with the victims and their families.